All right, February 9th, Fat Tuesday. Today's episode is brought to you by bombfell.com. That's bomb, B-O-M-B, fell, F-E-L-L.com. What they do is they give you clothes that you don't have to try and pick out because guys hate shopping. You're not going to be as fashionable as I am, even if you try. They mail them to you. You get your own personal stylist. It's awesome. I've tried it. They find out everything about your personal style. They pick out what they think you'd like the best. They ship it to you. You get 10 days to try it on. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't, you send it back. All returns are free. All shipping's free. It's perfect. It's easy. Bombfell.com. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Awesome.
Great job.
Thanks. I really, really worked on that one. What's going on today?
Nothing. You want to host the rundown?
Right now, I'm greeting my guests and seeing how they're doing. Are you going to get right into it? If you don't want any foreplay, just fucking shove it in dry, huh? All right, Shady McCoy. Keith, go.
Wait, what are we starting with?
Shady McCoy.
Oh, yeah. Shady McCoy.
Woo!
That's a good start. Two things. When you are rich and successful and a millionaire athlete. Drunk driving and bar fights. Those are the two things that you immediately get rid of when you get to that level of success. There's no excuse for you to be drunk driving. You just buy a driver. And you get an entourage to handle all your problems in the club for you, which Shady kind of had down until he just jumped in at the end with his pants around his ankles, throwing haymakers in a guy's face. And the fact that guy turned out to be an off-duty cop is just he's pretty much done. I would think that he's done.
That's where my problem lies. First of all, the two videos, I read Smitty's blogs, and it seemed like he got caught, carrying footballs into the bathroom. Excuse me, let me just check off, bring up Deflategate and everything. It didn't seem that bad to me. It seemed like a scuffle rather than an all-out fight.
You know what it seemed like? It seemed like a guy who had to throw in one punch just so that when all the boys got back to the house, they're like, "Did you see what I did to that guy?" He wasn't actually trying to fight anyone. And also, I don't know how to phrase this without seeming like a dickhead, but were these weren't they were cops, but they were off duty?
That's what my point is, Dan.
He
didn't punch them because they're cops. He punched them because they were dickheads and they ended up being cops.
Right. So if you knew it was a police officer and you punched him, that's one thing. But if it's just a guy at a club and then, oh, whoops, he happens to be a cop, what happens if I get punched at a club? Someone punch an off-duty blogger? I just don't think that's. I don't think it should be phrased that way. And I also think we're all to blame because if we didn't mock Shady's orgy, he probably wouldn't be doing these kind of things. He wouldn't be out of the club. He'd just keep having these orgies. You know what I mean? So the internet is kind of to blame here, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll take I guess if Shady had the choice to fight off-duty cops or have sex with 1,000 21-year-old girls, he'd probably choose the latter.
I do this thing when I get frozen, by the way, that I try to make my face look exactly like the Frozen face. Does anyone else do that?
I don't have much experience with just being frozen.
I'm trying to get frozen in real life, too, right now. I wish you guys could see me, but I'm frozen on the camera.
It's weird because you're staring directly at me right now, into my eyes. It's kind of
This rundown's been a hot rundown. Do you want to try to call it back again?
You just said you wanted to fucking keep it. Yeah, let's call it back.
Clearly, it's rattling everyone. My frozen face. I personally wish I had been frozen in a better light. So this segment is good, and then we'll redo the call and then pick it back up.
As you wish, Dan.
Just start it, will
you? Topic 2.
Wait, are we keeping?
I like how Dan fucking does it on purpose. Makes the rundown go off the rails, and then just oh, this thing's going nuts right now.
I didn't do that on purpose. I got frozen.
The goddamn camera it's a fucking mirror, and not listening to what anyone says. Oh, this is a mess.
I got frozen.
Are we keeping all the fire takes from topic 1 and just going from there?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I got frozen. What do you want me to do, John?
Next up.
How good, though, is my frozen of my frozen?
Oh, my God. It's like dealing with a child. Topic 2.
Dave would never let this happen.
Topic 2. Keith, what do you think about Trump getting a well-done ribeye?
I'm sorry.
Damn, be professional. This is a real show.
Okay, I'm done, John. John, I'm sorry. Okay.
John, tough look for the Trump campaign here. I've been with him on the anti-PC police crusade. This is something that I can't stand by. A guy getting I hate beer snobs and foodies and like people who tell you how to enjoy your food. Like, do whatever you want. But I will strongly judge anyone that gets a medium well steak, especially at a nice steakhouse. So that's a psycho move.
Even medium is like really questionable.
Dave gets. Yeah, Dave gets medium, and I agree. Like, this isn't being a snob, though. Well done is not saying you're a lunatic or a 5-year-old or a piece of trash for getting a well done steak is not being a snob. It's having common sense. It's not a steak. You just burn the steak.
It goes against everything Trump really stands for. Because that's not the high life at all. It's not being rich. It's being like a poor black person or a Mexican. That's who gets like well done steaks. It's a racial take. I'm gonna say it anyway. That's who gets the well done steaks, and that's where Trump is now. All his people who loved him, they think of him on the same level as those people. And I do.
It could have been a tactic though to get the black vote because I don't think that's racist. Black people like well done steak, right? That's just like it's just there for a reason. So I
think it's racial because like it's like thought of as low class, like it's like black people and rednecks.
No, black people like well done steak. He's just going after that vote. Who doesn't like him? Mexicans, black people. So now he's got to try and get their votes because he's got all his base all set up.
So like, is he gonna go to a quinceañera?
Yeah. Next up.
Do you guys? How great was that video though of him calling Ted Cruz a pussy?
That was awesome. That's why he like ruined the momentum with this well done steak.
I know, but that was I laughed so loud because I wouldn't be surprised if that was a Trump plant because the way he played it, but it was so perfect. He's like, I can't. No, I won't. Okay, I'll say it this one, but don't ever say it again. Ted Cruz, like it was just the perfect Trump moment.
Did you see what his comment? Like it happened like just before the show started. His comment was on it.
No,
it was a verbal retweet. That's all it was.
Yeah. That's really what it was. I mean, he is Dave. He's like, I'm not going to call this person this, but he's this. Did you also see Ted Cruz's exorcism?
I did not see that.
He actually got the devil taken out of him. You could see it like on his face.
I've had an exorcism before.
Have you?
I had it performed in my room in high school because I thought it was like funny and I had a moment to do it.
I got to check that off. John talking about his childhood on the rundown.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, every time I'm on.
Really? All right. You wrote a blog about that, by the way.
No, I know. That's how I knew that story was coming.
Next up, Cam. Cam like ruined everything I liked about him.
Where are you with Cam, dude? You're out of your mind. You're like, I feel like he keeps playing with your heart. Well, I haven't seen anyone take. I haven't seen anyone take this Cam thing like so. I feel like you're so conflicted inside.
I'm not conflicted right now. Right now, I think it's like, I mean, that's unbearable. Like, how can you do that? That I genuinely thought, like, people were like, oh, like, look where your hot take went. It wasn't a hot take. Like, I genuinely thought he was just trying to make a play on the ball. I wasn't like trying to stir controversy or anything like that. Like, I hate how overused hot take is. My opinion was just my opinion, and my opinion was wrong. I can say that. It wasn't like some like clickbait bullshit thing. I just thought he was trying to make a play on the ball. He wasn't. He was genuinely concerned about hurting his leg.
It was a business decision, like I said, and you made fun of.
Like Pete Blackburn said first, you got to give him credit.
I don't follow that guy.
Yes, you do.
Cam Newton, though, the whole thing is just. The only thing that pisses me off about it is that he just gave everyone a chance to start this Cam Newton shit up again. I thought we got to a point where the people that hate Cam Newton were just like, it was fake. It wasn't even, people just said, oh, if you hate Cam Newton, but I couldn't find one person who actually like despised Cam Newton. And now he does all this shit with the press conference and everything. And we started all up again. I'm just sick of the Cam Newton takes. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore.
Keith?
SB Nation, don't let them hear you say a single bad word about Cam Newton. Because this gave them all the ammo they need. Like, they are defending him to the death. Like this, Cam Newton was not criticized the entire season for good reason. He had an amazing year. Nobody hated him at all, and he finally did something that like can be criticized that was bad. And like all these blogs are like just picking up their pitchforks now and going after anyone who says a negative thing about Cam Newton.
They've always been doing that. And even when I liked Cam Newton, I would always have that like little note in my blog, like no one has like stronger stands or capes or whatever you want to call it than Cam Newton. Like, if you say the one bad thing about him, it always does get racial. I never really said that. I always just I like Cam Newton because speaking of racial, like, our comment section does usually go towards lean that way with Cam.
I just don't understand why, like the SB Nation people, why can't you like Cam Newton? I like watching Cam Newton play football. Think that it was a really stupid decision when he didn't jump on that fumble, which it was, and think he could have handled himself better in the press conference, but still like him. I mean, what is that really? Can we not hold three thoughts in our head at the same time? This is where Dave would call me middleman Dan, but I feel like 99% of the world is exactly how I am, where it's like he's a really good football player and fun to watch, and he fucked up in the Super Bowl. That's it.
But no, you're not allowed.
Racist.
To answer your question, you're seriously not allowed to think that anymore. Yeah. Like you have to have nowadays you have to be so passionate on one side or the other. That's why I'm not going back and forth with Cam. Like there are some things I like about him and there are some things I don't.
I didn't mean that you were going back and forth. I just meant I feel like Cam ripped your heart out.
Cam did rip my heart out. I mean to admit that is give the canned speech. Like it's we always do say we like honesty from athletes, but not that much honesty. Like your girlfriend likes honesty, but she doesn't like to hear when she looks fat. It's if you were too scared to get hurt with 4 minutes left in the Super Bowl down 6, don't fucking admit that.
I'd be so pissed if I was dude, could you imagine if you were Thomas Davis? Who played with his fucking arm broken and Cam's talking about not wanting to hurt his legs? I'd be furious right now. That guy's his arm is going to look like all mangled for the rest of his life because he wanted to play in the Super Bowl with a broken arm. Get the fuck out of here.
Next up, Trump's kid, what's his name? Eric Trump. He said that waterboarding is no different than what goes on in every frat house in America. Keith, I watched that Vanity Fair waterboarding video in your blog. I'd never seen that before. That was some shit. Dude pussied out in fucking 10 seconds. I always kind of thought of waterboarding. I never really understood how it happens because always in movies it's just like the towel over your face and then a quick dump and then that's it. And then I'm always just like, well, just hold your breath. I didn't realize it was kind of sprinkled and surprised and shit like that. That looked like the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Keith, you're the frat guy. What do you got?
This is the Trump Express. There's one thing I think that's more hated than Trump on the internet, and it's frats. So basically, the Trump campaign decided to combine the two buzzwords in this evil genius move, and now everyone's talking about the Trump campaign again. Everyone's pissed off at them. Taking torture and fraternities and the Trump name and rolling it up into one is just guaranteed headlines for the rest of the week. So it's great. It's a great job by them. As usual.
The Trump sons are they remember how we talked about how Ted Cruz had slime on him? The Trump sons have gallons of slime on them. Every time I see them, I kind of get a little chill down my spine. But I will say this. Eric Trump is probably speaking from a point where, I don't know where he went to college. It was probably an Ivy League or some, Georgetown. Okay, so similar. He probably was in a skull and bones kind of situation where everyone joins for life and they're all rich kids and they're all millionaires and they probably did waterboard each other. They probably electrocute each other's balls and all that stuff. And then half of them are going to be presidents. The other half are going to be shady CEOs and they all scratch each other's back and the rich get richer. So I actually agree with him and I understand where he's coming from. His college experience probably did have a lot of waterboarding involved.
Hazing wouldn't be that bad an idea for terrorists, though. It's rebranding torture.
You mean if we catch ISIS, just make them join SAE for a weekend?
But you don't you just you present it to the world we're hazing them and we're accepting them into our culture. It's just part of being at Guantanamo. It's it's a welcome thing. Don't worry, they get it. They'll get it in a little bit and make them elephant walk around the grounds and fucking. That's a good idea. Put them in a shed and be you're not coming out until someone fucks a goat or. I mean, probably not.
And all the pledges.
Probably not that.
All the ISIS guys have to drink like 2 liters of cheap vodka.
Yeah.
And, like eat a dozen eggs. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's
just
totally
like
fine.
a lifetime of Hell Week, and like the rest of the world just doesn't like. Oh, you wouldn't get it because you're not involved. Like they're having a fun. Fucking trust me.
They all want to be here.
All right, no one's mad at you after that. It's not a horrible idea. Finally, Johnny. This is probably our last Johnny topic, maybe forever, because
until he goes to rehab or dies. But yeah, not to get morbid here, but
yeah, it's like. I guess maybe he'll be on again when he's officially gone from the NFL, but this is pretty much the last straw. Although it's kind of weird that beating your girlfriend twice wasn't. Nonetheless, he showed up to practice drunk. The Browns covered for him, said it was a concussion. Dan, what do you got?
I said it in my blog. If you read the report that the restraining order report that his girlfriend filed, if any of that is true, he should be in jail. I mean, it sounds like he is a real scumbag. The showing up drunk to practice, this just shows that it's no longer, and it hasn't been for a while, like Johnny will figure it out or let the guy party. He's 22, you do the same. I mean, that's when you show up to work, that's a problem. My only thing that I'm wondering about is Dave hasn't really chimed in yet. Does Dave realize like the severity of this stuff, or is he going to still be Team Johnny?
No, he doesn't. No, he'll be Team Johnny. Dave doesn't say he's wrong or anything like that.
Johnny needs to go to rehab. He probably needs to go to jail. This is Ryan Leaf 2.0.
The one question I have on the practice is, do you show up drunk or still drunk? Because that's a big difference to me.
Well,
who hasn't shown up to work like, oh boy?
Yeah, I guess the difference is, did he sleep at all?
Right, that's it.
If he didn't sleep at all, then it doesn't matter. But if he slept and then woke up and was still a little drunk, yeah, I understand what you're saying. At the same time, he is a professional athlete, and this is my point. I said this to Dave all along. Like, Dave somehow blames the Browns for screwing up Johnny Football. Johnny Football didn't fucking learn the playbook his first season. When he was told to come into the game and against the Ravens and he got his first start, he was the worst quarterback I've ever seen. He didn't know the playbooks. He didn't spend any time in the film room. So don't fucking say the Browns screwed up Johnny Football. Johnny Football screwed up himself.
Well, here's one thing, and Keith and I have talked about this a little bit. Do you think we screwed up Johnny Football at all? Like the media? I think we did. I think he was an entitled asshole to begin with. He's a piece of shit. I'm not making excuses for him. But like when you're like 17, 18, and you get that kind of media scrutiny and that kind of media attention, that fucks with you. Like he's not a drunk. He is a drunk, but like he's also like in a psychotic break.
I don't know, man. Come on.
The police report was he was speeding, laughing like the Joker, while his girlfriend told him she loves him, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill us both." Like that's a crazy person. That's a man who's been driven crazy.
Well, I understand, but I'm not taking any blame for this because there's been hundreds of athletes who have had that kind of same spotlight and that kind of
just because they fought through or it didn't affect them as much doesn't mean it didn't play a part in something.
Of course it played a part, but I'm not going to say like the media like we screwed up because Johnny Football ended up being a scumbag.
No, that I agree with that. I just think that like that it takes you have to have certain personality traits inherently for it to affect you on that level. But I think like fucking being a TMZ 24/7 story for 4 years from the time you're barely a man, like has a pretty severe effect on somebody.
Keith, anything?
I was more on Dan's side when we talked about this on GChat, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't take much blame for it, John. I see what you're saying, but like there's tons of like superstar athletes and famous celebrities and people that come up and like not many of them get to what.
I think the biggest problem is the people around him. I mean, wasn't that Uncle Nate guy? Like, wasn't he like basically selling didn't Johnny get in trouble because Uncle Nate was selling autographs and stuff? And he probably didn't have a great support system. Haven't we heard stories where his dad is kind of like his best friend and not really his dad? I mean, that all plays more of a part in my mind. What?
That quote was, they need to get Johnny help or he's not going to live to see 24. Like, motherfucker, that's your job.
Right, and that quote came, like, recently, right?
What's that?
That quote came recently, right?
Very recently, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little late, Dad. We've gone a little too far for you. I mean, you've kind of blown it as a parent in a few spots, but ultimately it's Johnny. I mean, he makes the decisions. If he has an alcohol problem, he needs to get help. But more importantly, he hit a woman and needs to go to jail.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying I was just saying, like, I'm definitely not putting this entire thing on the fact that Johnny was on
it's obviously
TV.
yeah. No, you're right. It's gonna. I'll tell you one thing. The 30 for 30 is going to be unbelievable.
Can't you jump?
Unbelievable.
Can't you compare it to LeBron a little bit too? Like LeBron had that much hype coming up from a young age, and he never had any problem. I mean, he's a delusional guy, like asshole personality, but he has had no problems.
No, I mean Johnny's not the first child, and he wasn't even a child then. But he's not the first child star by any stretch of the imagination. But a lot of them get fucked up. There's a reason for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously people handle fame differently, and it's obviously I don't think you can fully say how you would handle it unless you were in that situation, because no one really knows everything Johnny's had thrown at him. But at the end of the day, like I said, if he did hit a woman, I don't give a fuck how the media has played him. I don't care how much accolades he's gotten. I don't care about his problems. He needs to go to jail. So that's where I stand.
I'll tell you what, I really hitched my wagon to the wrong guy in college here, turning pros.
Dude, how about Dave this is actually Dave's another big L for Dave, and he'll skirt out of it somehow, but you couldn't have been more wrong saying that Johnny Football was going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback.
He couldn't have possibly.
Dave said he was going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. Like, that was the only person I can see is giving him a job here is Jerry Jones, right? I mean, no one else is going to sign him, are they?
At this point, I don't even. You never really know with Jerry. He loves the circus, but at this point, like everyone knows, like, he needs to go away. Whether that be, I don't think he's going to end up going to jail. So I think whether that be like Arena League, CFL, like he needs to go away from the spotlight for a while.
CFL would be electric, and this is also why my idea that I've always had that every college should be able to take back one player that played there at any point in time. You get one guy on your roster that graduated. I mean, Texas A&M taking Johnny back, wouldn't that be the best? Like, wouldn't that be the most electric thing in the world?
It would.
It would.
That's a really good idea.
We'd be remiss if we did not talk about Dave's pot smoking a little bit here. Dan's
what
was it like in the moment? That was a where were you when you saw it video, and you were there live to see it.
I am not joking at all when I say that that's the hardest I've laughed in like 5 years. And I said it at the end. I was like, no one needs to smoke anymore. Weed is now obsolete as a drug, because all you have to do is watch Dave try to smoke, and it's way better than any high ever. Because I laughed so fucking hard. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
Your laughter during the joint part was so contagious,
dude. He couldn't have rolled the worst. He fired up the YouTube of how to roll a joint, and he was watching it, and he got lost maybe 3 seconds into it, and he just couldn't figure it out. He was trying to be cool, so he's like, why are you guys laughing at me? Why are you laughing at me? I made that bowl for him out of the Bud Light can. I haven't done that since I was maybe 14 years old.
I was gonna say I was very impressed with you. I saw you at the beginning, like grinding weed up, and then you fucking make bowls out of cans.
It was a flashback for me. I'm not a big smoker, but I obviously used to back in college and whatnot. But we had no tinfoil, so I had to make do. You can make a bowl out of anything with tinfoil. Not sound like I'm half baked or anything, but so we didn't have any tinfoil, so I had to like rig her up and do all the crap with the Bud Light can, and that almost killed him. I mean, that's straight to your face. I still, watching it back, I still don't think he inhaled. He
didn't inhale at all. I am just as, see, I felt bad laughing because I would be just as lost in that situation. I don't know how to roll a joint. I don't know how to do like the can thing. And I don't think like in the few times I've smoked weed, I don't think I inhale either. But just watching him, I was like, oh, he didn't inhale anything there.
He didn't inhale, but I can guarantee he was high, because when the cameras got off, he was like, he started just saying sentences and then not finishing them. And that's not very Dave-like. So it was, and I love the end when he's just like, you think Caleb blazes? So, and it was strong weed. That San Fran shit was like, that was legit.
Did you get that at a dispensary, or was that a drug dealer?
A Stooley helped us out, so helped us out and brought that stuff over. So
that was my favorite. Did you see that email I tweeted out when it was like someone said, "Oh, we got good weed here in San Fran, but you need a card." However, there are some people. However, we do have some people here who will deliver it to you, and they don't check for cards. It's like, yeah, we have drug dealers too. That's not a strictly San Francisco thing.
But I will say, San Fran. If you go to San Fran, it smells like weed like 99% of the time. Just walking around the street smells like weed. So it's definitely a little more lax. And the best part is Dave kept on being, I was like, Dave, are you at all concerned? You know, like, this is technically illegal. He's like, no, it's not. Weed's legal here. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's not, dude. Like, he's like, whatever, it's legal. Weed is definitely legal in California. Oh, man. Good thing that we went to a party the next night with Churn in there. They loved it. So anyone who thinks that we're getting drug tested or any of that bullshit, joke's on you, motherfucker. We're Dave. And I actually said that to Dave right before we went to bed. I was like, Dave, are you at all concerned? Like, when was the last time you got really, really high and then had to see your boss the next day? And his face was just like, it probably has never happened for him.
I can see taking drugs with you being like the worst thing ever because you would love to fuck with someone like that. Like, I know Dave.
I actually don't. It's just Dave. I like to fuck with Dave because Dave is. I mean, that's our relationship. So I actually wouldn't fuck with anyone else, but Dave, I had to fuck with. And I think Hank was hitting the mob boss. The mob boss was.
I like how Hank
little things on it. Yeah.
I like how Hank wouldn't do it on camera because you could tell where Dave was like trying to pass, and Hank was like, no. And I was like, Hank, I know you fucking want to smoke that weed right now. Why are you just like not just taking it?
But that's also, I'm going to back up Hank here. That's also Dave. I mean, he's a millionaire, so he could get, like, he could smoke, he could do whatever, and he'll still be a millionaire tomorrow. So it definitely, your perception of life changes when you're a millionaire and you can do whatever you want.
Oh, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't even do it even when the cameras are off, as long as Dave was there. I shy away from fun when Dave's around. Like anything fun, I'm just like, I'd rather not partake right
now. So, all right. Wait, hold on before we go.
All right, later.
Bye.